start again. Hilchos Keilim Perek Shemina Asa. So he gives the cloud before going into all the examples. Klicheres ain't makabel too much. Makabel basel lekabala. The only time a klicheres is makabel too much, first of all, it has to have a klei kibul, and also has to be made with that intention that it should receive something. But if it did not have a base kibul, it was flat. Even if it did have a klei kibul, so it was able to accept something, but it was not made with that intention, it does not become impure. Not midiraisa, not midirabanan. So we had pshuta kli matchas, we know is tam midiraisa. When it came pshuta kli eitz, so we see in many cases the chamim were gezer on pshuta kli eitz, but pshuta kli cheres, even midirabanan matar. Leficha hakisein, therefore a chair which doesn't have a klei kibul, vasapsel, a bench, vamita, a bed, vashulchan, a table, vamener shel cheres, or a lamp. All of these things are flat, and it's made out of ceramic, or any similar keilim that don't have a receptacle. They do not become impure. And so too clay pipes, the water is flowing through them. The Rambam goes through them. So even though they are curved. So here's a curved pipe. These two drawings, by the way, are taken from the Rambam. This is a Ksaviyat from the Rambam. These are the Rambam's drawings. So it's a curved pipe. So if you put water in here, so in the low part of the pipe, you have the two curved ends are up. So water could sit over here in the bottom. Yeah. And even if they are built with a clay kibul, so the Rambam explains that it means like this, that there's a place in the middle that the water can actually gather. And there might be a few reasons. You might do that to catch rocks. You might do that in order to big up. This is a piece of a pipe. It's a curved pipe. It's a curved pipe. It's a pipe. The pipe is curved like this. The pipe is curved like this. You have all places. You have an elbow like this. And it could be it was a regular pipe and it just became curved over time. Whatever the case is. Any of these pipes, or it has to go around the corner. Whatever the reason might be, nevertheless they're pure, even though they do hold water, but since they were not made with that intention, they were made with the intention that the water should flow through them, the water should go out, not the water should collect there. And so too a barrel which is made for people to swim, in other words, like a board that people balance on, so the chavis has air inside so it floats. The Rambam says in Pirush Mishnayos that you put some leather on top of it or something else so you don't slip off. In any case, it holds the person up. This is a whole discussion on what exactly this means, but this is evidently the way, this is not that I'm drawing, but this is evidently the way he explains it, that the machatz is a large klicheres, and then on the bottom of the machatz you make an indentation in order you should be able to pick it up. And then you have like a tiny chavis, like this, a round insert that you put into there, so it should make it easier to hold on to, like a handle. So that's chavis hadefuna. The chavis is a little tiny chavis, which is lashon defen, which is put into the wall b'sholei hamachatz on the bottom of the large keli. Hayil v'nasis k'mei beis yad shenesim b'ha machatz v'lei nasis l'kabola. Since it's made like a handle for holding this large vessel, the machatz, but it's not made to accept something else. It is made to accept his hand, but that's not the sort of kabbalah we're talking about. And therefore, it's not suitable to become impure. And so to any similar cases, that even though they might have a klei kibul and was not made la kabbalah, nevertheless it's tar. Halacha beis panos. So here. So this is where I thought that we had it. We're going to have it right now. So this is a type of lantern. So you have a panos, sheyesh bebeis kibul shemen, that inside there's a keli. This is a flame over here, and there's a keli that's built into it. It's all part of one keli, and it has a receptacle built into it, and it's able to hold oil, makabel tumas, and the whole thing is makabel tumas because it has the beis kibul in it. B'shein batar. But if it's flat like this one, so here you see it's flat, and you have to put the nair which holds the oil inside of it, so then this whole panas, this whole thing over here, is tar because it doesn't have a klei kibul. And so too, you have the form of the yitzrim of people that make pots. So if it has a teich, it's tameh. So this is the Mishnah says there's one type that's tar, the one type that's tameh. So when he starts working, he takes a piece of clay, the yetzer, and he puts it on a flat piece, and he starts pounding it out to make it into some sort of a rough shape. Then, in order that it should take its shape, he has something that he pushes it up against the wall. So this thing has a teich, so it has a clay kibul. So here it's made to receive this clay, so that's the second type of Megufas HaYetzrim, and since it has a teich, since it has a receptacle, therefore it's tar. Halacha Gimel, Mashpech Shel Balabatim tar. A funnel of Balabatim, so this is a regular funnel. It's tar because it's not made to receive anything, it's made just to get everything on the way down. But this is a different type of funnel, it's wider, and the purpose of that is that everything shouldn't go through right away. If you want to hold liquid in here, it's very difficult. But this, it's easy because you can just put it on the side like that, and it could hold on to a little bit without too much trouble. So that's B'shal Reichlin Metame. A reichel is somebody that sells perfume and things like that. Sometimes he sells scented oil. So in order that people should get a sample of what it smells like, so he uses this type of funnel. So his is tameh because he tilts it on its side and then he gives it to the buyer to smell. So you should sample it, and therefore it is used as a clay kibul, and therefore it's tameh. Now covers are not made; they're made to cover something else. So kad yayin, you have pitchers of wine or of oil, or to cover a barrel. Ta'edis, all of these covers are not makabel tumah, they're pure, shalei nasu l'kabbalah. Even if they have some sort of concave shape to them, nevertheless they're not made in order to receive anything, and therefore they're always pure. But if you fix them up, you did some sort of adjustment to them in order to make them useful, to be makabel something, then they're tummy. So the machshav itself is not enough, that the maisa, you have to do a maisa, some sort, that's the tikkun, you're going to do something to them that make them fit for clay kibul, so then they're makabel. Halacha, kisei halefes. So the lashon ilpas, it's like a frying pan. So you have the cover of frying pan. So there's different variations you could have over here. Same word. So sometimes they have a hole in it. I don't know. This is the drawing that I was able to find. So that allows the steam to go out. So you might have that sort of function. And then you might have something sticking out of it like this, come to a point that you should, like a handle, that you should be able to hold on to it, like our pot covers have. Both of them make it unfit really to be used as a clay kibul. So it's not designed to be used as a clay kibul, but let's say you decide to use it as a clay kibul, but if it has these two characteristics, it's not really fit. So therefore, kisei alev is bizmanshu nokuf. If it has a hole in it, v'yesh l'chidud, and it comes to a point, tar, it's pure because it's not usable for anything else. However, if it does not have a hole and it doesn't come to a point metame.
Is the handle or the cover?
Any sort of this is the cover. Kisui alef. Okay. So it's the cover. But the chidud could be a handle or something like that. So if it doesn't have a hole and it doesn't have a point, it's matame. The shaila is why. We just saw in the previous halacha that all sorts of covers are not makabel tumah. Why is it that this is? Because a woman, when she cooks vegetables, so she uses that as a sort of sieve to hold it back. When she pours it out, so she'll use that to pour off the liquid from the vegetables. So she's using it as a sort of over here. The picture he drew over here is that to put the vegetables over here and let the liquid fall off. So therefore, it's used to be makabel the vegetables, and it's just allowing the liquid to fall off of it. Obviously, if it has a hole in the bottom, it's not going to be useful because it's going to spill all over the place. This way, she can direct it and see where it is that the liquid is falling. It's also sable. Another pshat that maybe just like people when they want to pour off the liquid, they have the pot, and then you hold back the vegetables like this. There's also a kli kabbalah. It's not the way he draws it over here. But l'chora, this also fits into the words. Stopped in the middle over there. So anything which serves as a klicheres when it's turned over, tar. So in this case, it's used when it's turned over. So therefore, it's not makabel. Excuse me. If it is used for the klicheres when it's upside down, then it's tar because it's not used for kli kibul. It's just used as a Halacha Vov. Titros. So titros is a curious type of keli. You have the word titration to use in science. And what you do here, you have some holes on the top, on the top, a hole on the bottom. And what you do is by making a vacuum here, it keeps the water from coming out the bottom. And when you take off your finger, so then a few drops will come out, and then you put your finger back on, and you can control just a few drops at a time by picking up your finger and putting down your finger. So therefore, even though it has holes on both ends, nevertheless, it's designed to hold the liquid over here on the bottom. So therefore, this thing, titras afapisha hu nokov meitze prutes. Prutes over here means little drops. Even though it has holes and drops are coming out the bottom, so it's not really able to be makabel the liquid matame. It's still makabel tumah. Shahrei hamayim miskansim b'tzodim. On the sides of it, it's still holding liquid. Vehein asuyin l'kabala, and that's the whole design of this keli, that it's made in order to hold on to it. So therefore, it's makabel tumah. It's made. It's asuyin l'kabala, and it's taka makabel. Halacha zayin halapid shel cheres. So when you have a torch made out of cheres. Back to the beginning.
One more.
Torch which is made out of cheres. So you put the shmatis, rags of material and also oil in it in order to make it burn. Whatever the case is, so it's metame, since it's made to hold on to these begodim and the shemen, so therefore it's makabel tumah. We can't call klisha manich and tachas aneres lakabel lashem metame. So to any keli that you're going to put underneath a vessel that has oil in it in order to catch the oil, since it's made to catch the oil, it's also asil makabel, and therefore it's makabel. Halacha ches gistra. So gistra is usually a broken keli. Here it looks like a nice saucer. But usually when you have a leftover piece of klicharis, you can't do anything with it. So you use it as a saucer. You put it underneath something else that's dripping in order to catch the drip. So gistra shemenechan tachas hakeli makabel mashkin anezlim min hakeli. When you have a gistra, a broken piece, or some sort of a piece of charis that you put underneath another keli in order to catch the overflowing liquid that's coming out of the top on makabel tumah. So that's also makabel tumah because it's also lakabel. Halacha tes svina shel cheres. A boat made out of cheres. Even though it's made to be makabel, you're putting things inside this boat. Ain't a makabel tumah. It's not makabel tumah because this is not begeder keli. Normally we say, at least by kli 8, we said that it's osel anachas. Kli abol b'midav. It holds more than mem so. It's not makabel tumah. But that's only a kli cheres. It doesn't work for kli 8. It doesn't work for a kli cheres. Nevertheless, a svina, even though it's large, it's not makabel tumah. Not for that reason. Sheina svina b'chlal keilim amburim b'teira. It's not included among the keilim. It's not similar to the keilim which it speaks about in Teira. Ben shal ayiser shel cheres, ben shal eitz, ben gedela, ben katana. A boat is not makabel tumah, regardless of whether it's made out of ceramic or out of wood, whether it's big, whether it's small. A boat, something that travels in the water, is not begeder keli. The Chazal learn it out of a pasuk, but the Rambam doesn't bring the pasuk. Halacha yud kol hakelim shenishbaru v'nifsadu tzurasa. So any kelim that are broken, they lost their form. Ein shivrei makabel tumah. In general, he's now comparing kol hakelim. He's not only talking about klicheres now. He's giving a general rule. So any kelim that get broken, lose their form. Ein shivrei makabel tumah. The broken pieces are not makabel tumah. Even though those broken pieces are fit to use for something, chutz mishivrei klicheres. The exception to that is broken pieces of cheres. If originally it was a keli, and the pieces of cheres are also fit to be makabel something, harehu makabel tumah. They are makabel tumah. Why is that? Or how do we derive it? It says in Pasuk, b'chol kli cheres. It's a ribui. The additional but says any kli cheres. We learn from the oral tradition that comes to include the broken pieces of cheres. But when does this apply? When this broken piece of cheres has some sort of clay kibble that it can receive liquids, when it's sitting in its regular position, and you don't have to hold it up by leaning it against something else. But it's not, if it's the only time it's able to except some sort of liquid is if you tilt it in a different direction than it normally sits, ain't a makabel tuma. So then it's not makabel tuma in such a case. It's wherever it's sitting, it has to be makabel mashkin in such a form. So Yud Aleph, so now he's going to bring some cases where this positioning of the klicheres is going to make a difference. A cheresh ain't yochel leishev kadei sheyakabel mipnei oznei. A piece of cheres that cannot sit straight in order to accept anything because of its handle. Mipnei oznei. So this is the eisen over here. The way this picture looks, it's able to receive something. Even though it has an eisen, but if it is a little bit of a different position, it wouldn't be able to be makabel anything because of the eisen over here. So, the way it's sitting over here, it looks like you could in this broken keli, you could fit, but if it would be a little bit on the side, it wouldn't be able to sit properly. Or let's say it had a piece which is sticking out, like you have this piece over here. So the only way you could fit liquid inside is if you lean it up against something else. The way this piece is, it makes it tilt towards one side. So in both of these cases, the keli, the shibra keli, the piece is still tar. And even if later on, this is a din by klicheres, even if later on you broke off the handle or you broke off this chidud, and now it's perfectly fine, this is able to yemi makabel. So l'chora at this point it should be makabel tuma. Nevertheless, how is it tar? It's still tar. Why? Because we have a principle. Shekol klicheres shetar sha'achas. Once you have a klicheres and it became pure, once ein lei tuma leilam, and never afterwards become tamei. That's a din we had by klimarches. Even if you melt it, made it another keli, and it becomes tamei midrabanan. Over here, even if it's the same keli, once it became tar for one moment, it remains tar per. When you have clay vessels that the bottom is sharp, like a mizrak. Now it's not clear exactly what the mizrak. You had a mizrak in the Bakorban Pesach. It says over there that you had these Keilim that were makabel the dam, so they were in such a position that they couldn't put them on the ground without them spilling over, because you didn't want people putting them down. You didn't want the blood to congeal. In any case, if you have klicheres that have such a form, shenishbru b'harei shulein makablim, and now that they're broken, the bottom is able to be a makabel. Lavu pishein makablim elim ken nismachu. Such a case, even though they cannot be a makabel unless they're leaning against something, against shulei kurfies, for shulei keses, the bottom is loshen korfu. It seems to be Keilim that they made in Corfu, or the bottom of the type of cases, which seems to be the type of cases that they had in this place. So here there was the cases that came to a point, like a triangle. We were talking about those paper cups that they have by the water fountain that are made to hold in your hand. You can't really put them down, so that seems to be the shape of these. In this case, it's makabel tuma. Because they're made in such a way. They're made in order you should use it. Either besmicha, you use it like this, or bachiza, when you're holding it in your hand. So since that's the way it's designed, we don't say that it's not makabel tuma, because the way you're holding it, it was made lakabel, and it was made to be makabel in such a way. Okay, halacha Yud Gimel. So now the Rambam is going to go through for the next few halachas, Yud Gimel, Yud Dalet, and Tezvav, how much it has to hold. He just said a general principle that even if there's breaks, if it can hold mashkin, so then it's makabel tuma. But how much does it have to hold? So it depends on the size. It's proportionate to the size of the original keli. So here you have a chart. This has all the halachas from Yud Gimel through Tezvav. So the Rambam doesn't write them in order. He starts with this one. But to put them in order, you have, the Mishnah says sichas cotton, which the Rambam touches up sichas odom cotton, which means not a baby, means a person. In any case, what these amounts are, these are the amounts of the original keli. So if it held the amount for sichas cotton, so then if the bottom of the keli is lev b'karka, then kol shehu. Even if the tiny amount is there, it'll be makabel tuma. However, it was from larger than that up to the size of a saw, so then it has to hold a revis. If it's between one saw and two sawsayim, then it has to hold two revis and a chatzi alug. There's a revis alug and there's a chatzi alug. And when it's more than two saw, up until a big keli, so then it has to hold a whole lug, the shivra keli. So I put in green over here which halacha he's talking about. So halacha Yud Gimel is talking about the second case from the bottom. So halacha Yud Gimel, kama yekabel acheres v'yem makabel tuma. This is the introduction to the next three halachas. How much does the broken piece of cheres have to be makabel in order to be makabel tuma? If the keli, when it was complete, the full keli before it broke, it held enough oil that you would be able to anoint an adam cotton. And the Mefarshim discuss how much of the adam cotton do you have to. How where did I'm getting from? It says it's cotton. Why did you not learn a baby? So there's a whole discussion about it. Some of the Mefarshim say if the broken keli has to hold a revis, that means the original keli has to hold a lot more than a revis. A revis is a lot of oil, so it's going to be too much oil just for a baby. So he learns that it's Adam cotton. That's one of the explanations why he says Adam cotton. And it seems to be the way he learns that it's Sichas Adam cotton means the entire Adam. In any case, the original one was that big. At Chavis, Shehin Makabnis Kasa, Karavla, and it holds around the saw, or in that vicinity, Benishbaru, and then they broke. Benisha Bacharsim, Bein Mekarkoen, Bein Medafneim, Cheres. And if there's remaining pieces of cheres, whether it's from the bottom, karka is from the bottom of the keli, beim or the wall of the keli, which since it's normally in a kli cheres round, so even when the wall breaks into a piece, it's able to be makabel something. Shu makabel kashu yeshiv revis, when it's sitting in its regular form without being held up, it holds a revis. How is it makabel tuma? So then it's makabel tuma if it holds a revis. So if you have a keli, the next line up, that holds a saw up until 2 saw, or a little bit more, a yaser is like a little bit more, I guess, and then it breaks. If it holds a chatzi lug, which is 2 revi'isen, so then it's makabel tum. Let's say the keli was more than 2 saw, and it's all the way up to the sides of these large clay vessels. Im nisham en cheres, makabel lug. So then, if it's makabel an entire lug, then it's makabel tuma. Then it's makabel tuma. Hoyo acharis makabel spachas mishur neila. But if they cannot hold on to this much, they can only hold a smaller amount. They ain't makabel tuma. So then they are not makabel tuma at all. Halacha tesvav. So in halacha tesvav, he's going to differentiate, since it's a very small keli, between whether the leftover piece is from the bottom or from the wall, because it's so small. So look at this. Klik cheres cotton, kagen apach, v'kiyetzebei. So a small jar or something similar to it, shenishva, and now it broke. So it's something which is so small has a different din. And there's something from the bottom of this pach, of this jug, and it can hold on to even the smallest amount when it's sitting in its normal position. And it's very, very thin. And therefore it's like itself, a tiny keli. So it's also makabel tuma. However, but if there's just something left over from the wall that can hold on to something, then it's not makabel tuma. Because these walls are considered like they're straight. They don't have a recognizable curvature to them. And you cannot see that they have any sort of indentation. So really they're like prutikal cheres. So even though you might get a drop of water or oil to hold inside of them, nevertheless, since they're so small, it's not recognizable. Their curvature, and therefore they're tar, they're not makabel tuma, even if they taka do hold something. Okay. Last halacha tazayin. Cheskas charsim animtzoim b'chol makom ta'irim. The chazaka is when you find a piece. We have this whole discussion now about a piece of cheres, a broken cheres, when it's yem makabel tuma, when not. But the chazaka is that if you just find a piece of cheres lying around, the chazaka, the assumption is that it's tar. Chutz min amtzoim bebeis hayetzer, except for those which are found in the house of a guy that works with clay. Mifnei sheruben gistroisein l'keilim, because most of them are used as a gistra, but gistra makabelus tuma afal pishim meshivra keilim. Since he's going to use it as a gistra, so people want to buy a cheap keli, they want a cheap broken keli. So they figure, where's the place to get a cheap broken keli? You go to the guy that makes klicheres. So he probably has them lying around. So he's going to use it as a gistra, and like you said before, in halacha ches, that a gistera, since it's made to catch what's the overflow, so therefore it's also makabel tuma. So any place else, we assume it was discarded. So evidently, the Mefarshim talk about it, that it seems from here that we just said that shivre klicheres, if it has a shir that it holds on to something, it's yem makabel tuma. So why, if you find in the garbage dump, you find a klicheres? Ma'is the fact that the person, and then once it's broken, the person wanted to discard it, and machshav is enough that it no longer is makabel tuma, because he doesn't intend on using it for something. If he saves it and he's going to hold it, then we look at the shir to see whether it's makabel tuma.